Bitcoin Liberty Live, episode 65. I'm on my way back from Portland. What a trip. I just dropped Daniel off at the airport a while ago. He's probably getting on board right now, actually. So Daniel can't make it. Other compadres of ours, Robin, is busy. It's just me today. So this may be short. I've got limited battery, and I hate to be in my car, but I got nowhere else at the moment. And I'm going to make it work because it's 10 a.m. on a Saturday. And it's easy. Bitcoin is for everybody. Bitcoin is for everyone. The Portland conference was a huge success. It was amazing. Eddie and Eric were the main producers and putting everything together. Good morning, Johnny. It's just you and me today. Let me see what I can do here. I'm still sorting out how this works for myself. Yes, great conference. Daniel and I were there both together, showing off MicroSeed, meeting lots of folks next door to Unchained and self-custody folks, and a lot of good vendors. Great talks. Our friend Travis gave a talk with his coworker Scott from Swan. The Swan Bros were out talking about security. Lots of crazy security type stuff, phishing scams, spear phishing, hacking jobs, all that kind of stuff. And even though I couldn't catch a lot of the talks, we were pretty preoccupied at the booth, just feeling like we're contributing to the space, doing a self-custody device, meeting others who work on the same, and just the energy was alive. Eddie and Eric helping put together the party, the pre-party beforehand, the night before. I couldn't stay up too late, getting up early in the morning. The dinner afterwards, all of it, just met so many great people. Roger Huang, his book, I don't have it here, but Would Mao Hold Bitcoin? Had a great conversation with him, and just I'm always learning. What I'm finding refreshing about it all is that it's not Gen Xers like me purely. There's some boomers in the crowd. There's millennials and Gen Z. What I'm seeing is a variety of ages, and so I love seeing the fact that up and coming ages are getting in touch with it. I had a great conversation. I call him a kid, but he's older than my oldest son. He's Max. He was 23 and got his own podcast. Capital Markets, Market Talks. Let me bring it up here. Sorry. I want to shout him out because he's got a lot of episodes out. Capital Talks, the Markets Podcast. You can search for it. Capital Talks Markets Podcast. He's young, relatively to me, and super interested. Has been learning. Everyone gets on the path when they can, and you start in the TradFi world. You start learning about crypto. You're learning about the crypto world, and he shared his own personal journey of figuring Bitcoin out and becoming more solid on Bitcoin, and just doing what he can at his age. When you're young like that, just, hey, do what you can, where you can, do what you do everything you can, like Jeff Booth says, just to consider where you're putting your energy, where you're putting your time. And so what was great to see were young folks entering the space as well, learning about it, staying humble, stacking sats. Everyone feels like they're late, as I did, and also reminding ourselves that we're all still very early as well. What can I say? It was busy. It was bigger than last year. Last year it was a smaller venue and it was full enough. This one was a bigger venue at the Revolution Hall in Portland, and it was full. It was quite decently crowded. I don't know, hundreds of people, 300 and mid 300s people. So good turnout for Portland Northwest event. Just happy to have a conference in the Northwest, Pacific Northwest. Considering conferences down the road, since it was a success, just we're going to Portland next year when they announce that, and we'll be in Nashville on Veterans Day, November 10th. There's a Bitcoin Veterans get together. You don't have to be a veteran to be part of Bitcoin Veterans. It's oriented for and supporting veterans. And if you're not a veteran, you can still attend, participate, and stay frosty with the veterans on their Bitcoin approach. Um, Big picture ideas I thought about while I was there was not only just the generational age participation, young folks there encouraging, and see, I could. Sometimes it's easy to be cynical about like boomers like at a certain age they're they're so far with their investments, they're so far in the trad fi, they're looking at retirement stuff, and they're not as open to new ideas. um, Great gal we met, friend of ours, Laura. She's a older generation than us, but is totally with it and totally gets it. When you think of boomer doomerism, when you see no hope out in the world out there, and and like without Bitcoin, you're not seeing Bitcoin, and you're just cynical about the state of finances or the nature of the dollar and why what, and that the dollar is the only money. Bitcoin opens up that escape hatch of hope. For young folks, they're feeling like they're trying to catch up on contemplating like what hamster wheel to jump on, and finding themselves also that Bitcoin is that hope and escape hatch and wanting to be part of it. So Bitcoin provides that hope to every generation. If the boomers can figure it out, awesome. As young kids come on board and are open-minded and flexible and maybe have time, they're quite they're just at an amazing um, time in human history to really join now and be part of it, which is awesome. Um, so Bitcoin is that escape hatch, and it crosses the generations, and it's just is that it's the cure. It's the pill you can take, the orange pill that cures that black pill, because some people arrive to Bitcoin having been pretty black pilled, and they're recovering from that as they start to get the orange pill percolated in their minds. It's an inoculation to that. We're looking at the corpus of the markets and the economies, and a sick kind of a cancerous body, and Bitcoin having been the inoculation that is simply fixing and curing all the ills of that. And it can't be avoided. The roots are um, digging in. The great realignment is happening with the traditional finance system between Michael Saylor and all of his strategies, the multifaceted strategies out there. Um, Whether you get on board with any of those or many of those or not, I don't. Some did. People I talk to are just kind of master strategy curious, micro strategy curious, the master strategy. However, it's like stay humble, stack sats, stick to Bitcoin, don't play around, don't worry about the risk. But what Saylor is doing is creating those roots growing into the traditional finance system, whereas time will tell on performance and what works. Everyone else is going, not wanting to be first, but saying, wow, I get it now, or that worked. Let's just do that. Let's do number go up. And well, okay, they can rise the tide of number go up. Um, I had an interesting thought talking with Daniel while we were there about, when you're on YouTube and you notice, geez, there's more and more ads. The ads are everywhere now. They used to be 5 seconds. Now they're 15, or you can't avoid all these ads everywhere now. And that if it's a business model where, people can't get off YouTube and they can afford to add the ads, it's a business model. It's numbers, it's money, obviously. AI right now, between all the options you have out there, it's like free and easy, everyone using it. And I'll be aware of myself when I'm using Grok or something. It's super useful, and I'll feed it all kinds of stuff to figure out problems and learn stuff. And I realize that everything I'm putting in there, it's such a huge database. They're farming data on us, of course. It's a huge, not only is it learning, but it's learning you. Um, the ads you might get on X or elsewhere, the ads you get. Sometimes it's, yeah, obviously trying to sell you something. The consideration that sometimes it's just tossing stuff at you to test your engagement and find out um, who you are. So, it's not something you're necessarily going to buy or be interested in, but maybe you hover over it, maybe you click on it, maybe you pause on that, and they're also building a profile about you, which is the data and that information is where it's at. Not just the product, not just the sale, although they want the clicks, but sometimes the algorithm or who knows what calculations are going on in there are trying things on and seeing who you are, and they've got a profile on you. So when I use AI, I become more and more conscious of what I'm feeding it, and sometimes I'm often just like, you know what, I got nothing really to hide. There's nothing about me other than being a Bitcoin maxi. But every once in a while, like I'll like something slightly medical, or I've got a question, or I'm just learning about something. I'm feeding it in there, and it's like, man, it's gonna think I'm all like, oh, you got this or that, or you're interested in this or that. I'm just aware of that, and it's free. So why is it free? You think of the huge amount of infrastructure, the investments, the trillions of dollars going into building these farms, building this infrastructure, being ahead on AI. That is a huge amount of money, and it's free. So, not to be doomerism about it, because I think I do have hope about the tools that we're going to have in our society. But as we get kind of captured in AI, we can't do without AI. AI is doing so much for it. And then those who own or control or have the AI captured, and they have the user base as well captured. And so what does that look like down the road when it's, say, not free, or there's marketing in it, or it's steering you, or it's learning more and more and more about you? You're sort of captured yourself. So um, uh, it's interesting to see where it'll go. Interesting conversation I had with Max. The idea about um, um, a government regulation on exchanges, or a 6104 type attack. Like, can't see it happening, but um, last episode we talked a bit about what would that look like. What do you do? Well, one, self custody, and MicroSeed's core vision is one, self custody, and two, run a node. Now, are you going to do that perfectly right out of the gate and get reckless about it? I hope not. But by having those goals in mind for everyone, it's a learning path. And so our goal being that as you dip your toes into that, and you do it carefully and safely and with help, for example, getting the Bitcoin way involved, or a fellow Bitcoiner who knows a lot about it, taking careful steps where you're not lost, you're not, presuming too much, and you're doing it carefully. But you take self custody, you get off the exchange. Good. Now, when you're moving Bitcoin and you run a node, how does a node work? Uh, Doing a node, using your own node correctly, so that you're not relying on a centralized node. So you're not relying on a centralized exchange. You're not relying on some company or whatever centralized node, much as you might trust them. Um, just sort of the careful, the good ethics about Bitcoin and doing it well. But gosh, I'm probably a little hoarse. We were talking all day yesterday, and I'm probably dehydrated too. But yeah, what can I say? This is going to have to be short. Um, I'm I'm just really heading home right now. I'd be outside. I'm in a beautiful spot, but it is windy, and I can't get away from some traffic. So there's traffic going on outside, and it's just loud, and you wouldn't be able to hear me. So I'm in the car. Bitcoin Liberty Live, attending, showing face at Bitcoin is for Everyone, the Portland conference. Um, I hope they do it next year. Uh, they need a good sponsor. We're looking at sponsorship opportunities there. But it's a great conference for the Pacific Northwest, and the turnout has steadily grown. So I'm seeing more interest. That's good for the space. Nice to have something like local for us. Looking at future conferences too, these Bitcoin magazine conferences are big. Daniel and I were talking about, you know, which conferences do you go to? Which ones are worth it? Obviously, the ones in Vegas, Hong Kong, Amsterdam, um, Mina in was that Dubai? The Bitcoin magazine conferences are big, huge sponsorships, and they're marketed for that. They got the shit coins and the ordinals going on. I try to be open-minded about that stuff. If it gets people's attention and it's for Bitcoin, I want people to start on that path. But the suits are there, the big money is there, the distractions are there, and there's companies that are pro Bitcoin or they put a Bitcoin label on there, but they're bringing you into their walled garden. And maybe there's paths out of that walled garden, but man, it's another layer to navigate. So when you're trying to stay based, those conferences can be expensive. So the trade-off is big money, big numbers, big high-profile talks. I mean, you get your Saylor, you get Jack Mallers, um, and politicians and all that. Fun to see, interesting to have that experience. I think when you're in this space like we are, and you've seen it, you can catch it online. You've been there before. It's like it's cool, but I don't need to sit in this crowd. And I'm not dissing this stuff at all. I would go, but it's a different vibe. The Portland vibe was local, people from nearby, and that's what I loved. I could just drive there, and and being from a town on the outskirts, Daniel and I felt like we're kind of back home a little bit with where we started on a lot of this hardcore Bitcoin stuff, and that now there's a conference local. So anyway, good job, Eddie and Eric on Portland is for everybody. With that, sorry to keep this real kind of brief and just me ranting on my thoughts coming out of all this, but hugely encouraging. Interest in Bitcoin, interest in the self-custody efforts we make, and people really get it as well. It was not shitcoin space at all. It was pure Bitcoin, pure signal there. So anyway, thanks for joining. Thanks for thanks for hopping on, Johnny, for what it was worth. And I'm going to wrap this up, and we'll catch you next time. I'll have Daniel back next week, hopefully Robin as well. And but 10 a.m. on Saturdays, we'll do this every time. All right, thanks, y'all. Bye.